back to another Friday. Product like it's Friday. Sorry, my brain is like a little slow. I also did not sleep too well last night. So also a little over caffeinated because I'm compensating.
If I may, how what's the range of your caffeination? Because now it's 8 p.m. now, pretty much, right? And I feel like you just pointed
Wait,
to a cup of coffee.
it's not 8 p.m. What do you mean?
Sure, but it's like the
Yeah,
feeling.
yeah,
It's it's
yeah.
it's 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 giving 8 p.m. I don't know what
It's
the kids say.
so don't I want to say I don't usually drink coffee, but that's a lie for the last week or so.
Okay.
I go through phases of like trying to get away from the habit and getting sucked back in because of one bad night of sleep, and the next day I'm
Oh, I
like, okay,
see.
I
Right.
gotta like, I got, I gotta
Yeah, I gotta let
perform,
go.
you know?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm amped. I'm ready to go.
Yeah,
But when you pointed to your cup of coffee or whatever you were pointing
I
at,
actually did not point at the
you
cup.
kind of had a
That's
pointing
where it
motion.
was.
I got it. Yeah. So was it okay? Got it. That's what I just wanted to confirm. Is like, do you have an active cup of coffee going right now?
Not right now.
Okay. I do
You
actually. I have
drink
a few
coffee?
sips left. Yeah,
Oh wow.
I
Okay.
do. I have a few sips left here.
Are you like a regular drinker of
Yeah.
coffee?
Yeah. I mean, but it's not. I'm a regular drinker, but I'm so non-committal to these things sometimes. Like, I'll go weeks without drinking coffee, and then I'll be like, wait a minute, I feel like something's missing. Like on 2.5 weeks into it, I'm like, I think something is, huh? Oh, man, I'm gonna try a cup of coffee. So that's my rhythm.
Does it work? Does it fill the missing
Yeah.
piece?
I just I'm like, oh, I have coffee. I have a coffee machine. I just haven't been drinking coffee. I just haven't been doing it, you know. And so it's just, I guess literally, I was talking to you about this pattern earlier. It was like, oh, I'm in the rhythm. I'm in it. I'm just I can't stop. It's 3 4 cups a day.
Oh my god, really?
Sometimes,
Damn.
anywhere from 1 to 3, and then is someone trying to steal a couch?
I think there are noises.
It sounds like someone's dragging a couch across your.
I don't know what's happening.
We missed it because we haven't been doing this in a while, but we have a comment from Mr. Scott. It seems. This one is great. I'm going to put it up on screen. You sound so much nicer here at Adnan. Well, it's because I haven't gotten started yet. Okay, I'm just getting warmed up. Um, no, I'm not. I'm not. It
I'm
just sounds
curious
that way.
about the nicer in terms of like personality wise or like just like the quality of your voice.
Or good looks. How come you didn't say that?
Oh,
How
it's
come you missed out
sound.
on this moneymaker right here?
The money maker is in the voice. So
um, that's funny. Maybe Matt will answer that question. Maybe he won't. If he does, we'll put it online. Um, okay. All right. I'm happy to share my screen and continue. Are you?
yeah,
Uh,
I the one thing I will say is I did not get a chance to swap the components because I also have not
wow.
been have not also been in the groove.
In the
Let's
rhythm,
just
yes, yes, and that's fine. I think that's what I actually appreciate about the system. It to me that just says the system is working. Our system here, in terms of, you know, the Friday things kind of pulls us back in, and then if we find a groove, we find a groove. If we don't, we ride the schedule.
so I
All
might
right.
do that in the background.
Okay. All right. Let me share my screen then. And just as point of note, Matt has not shared what he means by nice. And we'll just note that, and we'll, once we run into him ever, we'll we'll trap him. Okay, so Mary said she has not swapped out the components. Although honestly, I would say that's not a major thing. Like if there's something else that you want to work on, it's just Those are good guides, but now that I'm aware, I guess I've been making those adjustments naturally while I was shitting on their Figma kit. I was like, their Figma kit doesn't match their code. But I take that back. Apologies to PrimeVue. They probably have a perfect Figma kit. Actually, they might have the best Figma kit out there. We don't know. But all this to say is we got this far, so I think we're fine. Um, and then I guess the thing um, that I was curious about, actually, you know what? I might go into this mode for a second because now, well, no, actually, still share my screen. Hold on, sorry. Um, oh, look at this mode. Look at this. We could have done this. I'm curious about this idea. Not that again, like I feel, and because Mary's a user, I just wanted to talk about something we were talking about just offline because Mary will ask me from time to time. I think as friends do, how are you? And my response is very disappointed. She's always disappointed in my response because I think she didn't say this out loud. This is my sense. I'm it's when I read people, I'm like, oh yeah, you're unhappy, not unhappy, but disappointed in this response because I guess she'll parse it and she'll be like, there were no feelings in there. Like she was like, in her head, not verbalized. I think she's thinking, I'm expecting feelings, but you've mentioned a lot of disparate facts. Okay. And so I was curious whether for someone who I talk about feelings a lot, actually. I just never say them when prompted. I'll just inject my feelings in regular conversations versus I think when I'm given a prompt, oddly enough, my brain just says, oh, what are the facts? What happened versus what you're feeling. And so I was actually curious in an app like this, whether there'd be ever like a facts to feelings processor. You know what I mean? Where if the prompt doesn't work for you, um, and is that how does that make you feel? Let's start there.
No, I like it. I feel like because I've been having a lot of complicated uh I guess moments whenever I think about like, oh, how am I doing? Um I increasingly feel like the complicated journey, which starts with more of the facts and then parse the feelings.
I'm
Like
trying to follow you here on my
yeah,
screen.
yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Sorry, I can do that.
You can make me follow you.
I can make you follow me.
Wow. Figma. Hello.
That's yeah, that's the power.
And
Um,
your Zoom too, so it's your
yeah, you can just
okay.
like
Nice. That's nice.
you can just go along for the ride. So initially, this was like designed as a secondary um, use flow, I guess. But because the last couple of weeks, I feel like there are less days that I can definitively say I'm feeling these things than days that I'm just like, there's all these things going on. And as I talk about them, maybe that's when the feelings arise. So
Mm.
I'm almost wondering if this should be the primary.
Wow.
But
I
maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm biased by like recent
okay.
events as well.
Is this a serious consideration or is this a passing consideration? I'm curious.
It's
It's complicated.
it's it's okay. The reason why it's complicated is because I think it's serious in that I think it's a core part of the experience that like a major um, piece would be missing if we don't have this flow.
Yeah. I do agree with that. But you feel like what we have here is not enough.
Like including this?
Yeah, including this.
No, I think this is fine. How
Got
do
it.
you
Okay.
feel about this flow?
Um well, I'm not a feelings recorder. You know what I mean? Like so it's not
But like,
necessary. So
would you answer like rather than hmm, I guess like in this flow, it still starts with how are you doing, and
Yeah.
it's only if you say it's complicated that you're prompted to describe like what's going on. Um, and I wonder if like I think flow wise it doesn't change too much, but like maybe if the question starts with like what's going on, um, I don't know, just spitballing.
Yeah, I think, once we have it functional to a certain degree and you have your hands on it, then I think that clarity will emerge one way or another, right? You'll kind of, and then I guess the flip side of that question is, because it's so, I mean, maybe the word I'm using is probably wrong, but it might sometimes, these are seasonal in a sense.
Hmm.
The It's complicated and the ranges, that, do you think there would be a flip side of it where you feel like, oh, the other thing should be the default, or should this,
Sure.
like the idea of default and how that
Yeah.
changes?
Yeah, I don't know. I think yeah, maybe let's stick with this. And
Yeah.
if I'm like every day I'm using this button, you know, then maybe that's a signal of like okay, this might need to be the primary or something. Mm.
Oh, did I? Okay, so the moment I scroll, it disconnects us. Am
Yes.
I? Can you? Are you? Am I still following you? No,
No.
does not seem like it. No, I'm back. All right, folks. I'm in control now. All right. So where we left off last time was a number of things. I'm kind of trying to rejig my memory because I haven't. So we left off on this page, and one of her friends um, helped us center this div, which is such a key element in programming. Really centering this icon within this button. Um, and then there are a bunch of things to do. What I want to do is I want to get to this screen and then consider whether I want. I think no, I don't want to consider actually. I just want to start on functionality. So once we're done this screen and the elements are here, I'm happy to go through this flow first and then kind of adjust based on these other flows later, because I feel like once I have this, I'm comfortable enough to start gluing the Lego pieces together and getting the logic in there. The other thing that we talked about at the end was, especially will become relevant as the pieces start gluing together, is where this data is stored. And with one consideration was to store it on the device. And in this case, because we're doing it browser based, is going to be based on browser, which means that you could load up two different browsers, like if you had Firefox or Chrome, or if you had multiple profiles within a browser set. The browsers limit kind of application data per profile. So, for example, if you have a work profile and a personal profile on Chrome, um, it will um, it will segregate that data as it was. So then it kind of allows you to have you don't have to go public with certain feelings while you're testing the product. Okay, so let me get into the code then. And I did not take too much time refamiliarizing myself with the code at all. But here's a journal file, and I think we were at a point where we were happy with this. And let's confirm where we had those things switching back and forth and then clicking here. So I'm good with that. And then, sorry, I need to minimize. Did you see that flash across the screen? I don't like it. Why? Yeah, I don't like that. But okay, fine. The reason I need to do that is because I'm just so I explain, as I'm switching back and forth, I had another terminal window on this other screen, and then it also switched back and forth on this screen. It becomes really distracting for me. So, which is why I need to minimize everything before and ensure that I only have like the browser instance and the terminal instance that I am focusing on. Okay, so we have the journal page, and now we want to jump into the themes page, and that will give us the starting point to glue pieces together. So let's just copy the journal page into the theme page, and let's see what we need to do. Okay, so this is all the header. Looks like these feelings of blah, blah, blah. And that is here. And I can just start changing the code. Looks like these feelings off, and this will remain the same, and then this can continue here. Questioning whether this should be an H1, but let's see. Are related to ... And now I can actually just go into the themes page here. At least I would have thought it's theme here. It is themes here. And so that's a reading comprehension issue on my part. And now we got it. Are related to... Not thrilled with the spacing here. That should be equivalent. I think that's what it is like in the design. So we'll go ahead and try and see what is up with the spacing. This is a flex call with a gap 2. This is an MT2 here. Y2 should... That made it seem like actually it reduced. So if I do MB2, why would that happen? So we have this. What? I think I just need to actually not rely on this stuff here. Why did I even do the MT here? Margin top instead of maybe like changing that. And I'm on the themes page. Yep. And that looks more like equally spaced. Okay. So, okay, we got that going. And I'm actually going to just turn this off for now and continue here. So we have this button set similar to what we have here, except the scheme, the color scheme is different because now we're looking at themes. And so essentially these selected feelings generate a set of themes, and the themes have selections. So did I get that working on feelings? No, I did not. Oh, I didn't even like do the alignment stuff here because I was like, hey, we're speeding along. So that's fine. So I won't spend too much time on that here. And then we will work on that once we get the pass, when we pass through again. But feelings can be my reference to pull these buttons in here. And then these buttons will need a label and an icon. So name is fine. And then instead of category, let's just say icon for now. And then I'm actually just going to accept what they're giving me here. What our friend is giving us, except this line. And then what I want is to display the themes like I was displaying the feelings here. So let me load up the feelings page. Feelings.view. And look at, I'm just going to copy this div here wholesale into the template here. These modes and all this stuff doesn't apply. So I'm actually happy to just get rid of all of this here. That code is not relevant. And then our buttons down here are back and finish, which should be fairly easy to accomplish here. We already got a back, and this guy becomes finish. And then instead of feelings list, we have themes. Theme in themes, and then this is theme.name. Theme. There is no severity. The severity is always contrast, it seems. So severity contrast, and it's outlined, and there is a template icon square for selection purposes. And that ends up looking something like this. Over here.
I think we might want to use a different layout, because it's like cutting off. Or is that relevant?
Oh, sorry. Yes. Apologies. Jeez. I was like a different layout. You know where my mindset was? I wasn't even looking at this. It took me 3 seconds. I'm like, a different layout here? I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, Mary, how dare you? I'm following your design. That's
production layout.
yeah, no, gotcha. I might make this a bit larger here for screen purposes, but
as much as I like seeing our faces.
I was gonna say I don't, and then I was gonna leave it at that. I wasn't even be like, oh no, not your face, Mary, just my face. No, I was just gonna agree wholesale. All right, so let me bring the icons in, and then we'll do the feel free, and then and then we're good to start thinking logic here. No, thank you, Mayor, for the production note. Yeah, that's interesting too, because on my screen, as I'm looking at our stream here, it's like my browser window that the stream config and stuff is on is fairly small, so we appear smaller, the text appears smaller. So I'm like, are people going to be able to read that? But it turns out that if you full screen this, you should be able to read it. So that's a good reminder. Icons is what I want to get here. I can get rid of the screen now, and just confirming the icons are here. We have this template icon here, which is serving us as this. So I think PrimeVue also has just an icon component, or I hope they have just an icon component or something like it. Let's see. Icon field doesn't input icon. I guess it's only for inputs, because it's not even documented outside this input label or input field, which is for fields, not for general use all over the place. I think button. Let me see if buttons can have multiple icons in. So here we could do icon and then position, but not. Let me see if they have an example with icons on both sides. So we will have to place the icon in the code. It's just I was curious whether they had a quick facility to do that. It does not seem like that is the case. So what I will try is this. And this is just learning about their button API. So the way they do it is they have a label, and that becomes your main text of the button. But they also have a default slot. And let's just quickly play with this idea. So the default slot would be just this. So let me just put Lala here. I guess I could be doing that up here, but But now I'm committed. So this becomes Lala. So now the back is gone. Maybe I could just use an icon thing with class Lucid arrow left. And if this doesn't work, it doesn't work because immediately, given that I did this, it seems like it no longer honors this this icon itself. So get rid of that. This icon is back, and so is the label. When I bring this in, it's not honoring that icon template. What happens if I get rid of this back label? No icon. Curious. Let me quickly, for my purposes here, just take a look at this. Iconify. So if I pull in Iconify here, no, I would have thought that would have worked, but span I-Lucid. And that's not enough. Let me bring back what they had for this icon and take a look. What if I just, I'm going to try span next, right? That's my other option. And now for a very brief second in life, I saw an arrow here. For Hamad, welcome back to the stream. It's good to see you. Hello, sir, to you as well. So the weird part is, it's like it showed up, but then it left. I think I had this moment last stream as well. I was like, oh, why is this icon not? And I had this whole eliminating why that kind of thing is happening. So it was there because it was there for a second, and it flashed because it was in the browser's memory. Let's just say that's not exactly how things are working. Just to demonstrate that, if I do square, my mental model before I switch back to the screen is that a square icon, some kind of square icon should show up. Let's give it a width and a height as well. And there it is. So my mental model, if not exact, is at least useful. And that's happening because I've used the regular icon here. But then setting the height and width on it is no good. It does not respect the height and width options because it's probably flexed in some way. That's weird. Why is the button so restrictive? What if I say template default? What if I specifically reference the template? And this is just me playing around to see if no. Also, just to specify that the tag does not make a difference. That icon's still there because it's loaded here as part of the framework. La 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 la. Sorry. Hamad asks, have you made any website for the dark web? No, Hamad, I have not. I have not. I don't even know what that means, to be honest. Like, I don't know. Like,
Should we be concerned?
Yeah, I've heard dark web. I've heard the term. Do you know what it is? Do you know what it does exactly?
Not exactly. I've gone down a couple rabbit holes, but I don't really know if that's how it works.
I have not been down any rabbit holes. I do not know. Okay, so I mean, this is weird. Okay, so I'm just gonna force my way through versus trying to understand. if I put it around a lot of that is happening. I mean, I understand now as a result of forcing my way through as well. So all of that fiddling just registered in my brain that the button has its own controlled layout. Now, I don't know why this disappears once we do default. I think they're trying to say, look, if you're going to do the default, you're on your own. We're not going to help you. I think that's what they're saying. And so I'm like, okay, fine. I respect that. Let me do what I want. And so here, oh, I should just be able to do this. Why am I such a fool? I'm like, what's the icon? What's the thing? Can I also do this? And then the only thing, I'd have to do that. And then I'd have to do that because this needs its own element. And that puts us nowhere, absolutely nowhere. It's there, but look at that. It's kind of on the outskirts of this button. It's not respecting the button much at all. Oh, it gets rid of the entire. Oh no, this is flex and then this is flex, so that's fine. Why is that happening? It's not entirely clear to me why that's happening. What if I give this button? I know this is not the button that I am supposed to be working on. What if I give this button like a fixed width? Let's make it like super widthy. No, it's like, I don't care. I don't care about your stupid widths. I'm my own width. It says. It might be the case that it needs to be importantized. No. Okay, that's actually super. That's legitimately messing with my head a little. I'm going to undo all my fiddling here because this button was fine. This button was actually doing its job. This button here, these buttons need to be adjusted. So let's go step by step. If I say theme.name here, this icon will probably disappear. And it does. And let's just take a look at these buttons here. And let's take a look at what's happening. Yeah, so when I guess you used like, I'm like, maybe they documented this. Have I tried reading? They haven't. Because then we would have seen, oh, if you use the default template, this kind of business is going to happen. But they haven't really. They haven't really done any documentation. So we're kind of on our own here. And I think the seconds we spend, when I'm in these moments, I'm like, should I spend more time on this or should I move on? But I feel like this is worth it because, one, this is not an uncommon pattern. This is a very common pattern. So knowing how to do common patterns seems like a useful thing. So we're going to bring this icon outside and we're just going to say, hey, we've taken full control of this thing. And then we'll add this into a span. And now we've pretty much come to the spot where we were, right? And probably this button here was a bad example, maybe because of where it's placed and how it's done. But what if I did squares on both sides? And that's all I need to do. I think I was misguided or misled because I thought any button is fine. And it would have been, but that's why it seemed weird because I think I had very similar. No, I didn't. I had this code. So I didn't have very similar code. I had this precise code. So let's actually reproduce the code I had to see if it breaks. No, it doesn't break. So having that said, I this was on screen and I missed it entirely, but here we go. So now this becomes name, theme icon. I don't know why. Oh, margin left. Does that make a difference? I don't think that margin makes any difference at all. What would make a difference if we did a padding thing? Would that make a difference? Flex wrap. No. What if I put this on its own div? Like the whole thing is not centered if we divify it. So, our friend would say put it in flex. But then this still right, left, 4, 8. Let's make it like super large. Yeah, I think my understanding of flex certainly is not great. But for now, I'm not going to worry about it. And then the only other thing I will see is that these... Oh, it's a literal emoji versus an icon. Which I feel like is an icon set of sorts. Isn't there like a generic icon set that contains the emojis? Oh, this is nice. I really thought there was. Noto emoji. But that's fine. I think that's, as long as I have 2 icons in the button, I'm happy. And we can work on the spacing and other stuff later. That now this is legit a distraction.
I'm also like not married to it being emojis. So
Oh yeah, either way is fine, honestly. Like I just wanted to get this kind of layout in here. But if there are like icon sets, it doesn't matter, because like even if there are emojis, we can pull in specific ones that match the aesthetic that we want to go for. So that's actually no big deal. I just wanted to at least get the layout of like here and here down, and I'm content with what we have now. Okay, so let's get that little bit of text in there. So this is our div MB. I'm going to go with the full MB12, and we'll just add the text here for now, and we'll see what that feels like. And we'll take the... Can I increase this? Can I think that's... I'm an old man, Figma. I want these things to be larger because they're on the edge of my screen all the way there. And I have to go like this, like a loser. And if I press Command plus here, it doesn't apply. Can I right click? This is still for this. Just no way to change. Or maybe there is, I just don't know. I'm not an expert.
what are you looking for?
You see where it has this vertical alignment here? And it's designed only for like laser eyes to read. And as I get older, I have to like go like this to read it, because it's on one. I have like 2 monitors here, but working on this monitor for reasons. And then I'm like, how do I increase the size of this and this? And it cannot be done. It cannot be done. Regular base, font family, font weight, text base. That's fine. I think we'll just have to find what this text looks like. Save it. Let's get it on the screen. Is this centered? It is. If I do this, will that just do the right thing? Nearly. Then if I put it in here, I think the only thing it's doing here is it's actually centering it here, which we don't want. And that's coming from, I keep forgetting which one it's coming from. It's not coming from there, I guess. It's coming from here. And so that's the rhythm we want. And then that is empty space. Okay, so we're done here. And now I'm ready to take a sip of this Canada Diet Pepsi. That's the sound you love, Mary.
It is a very satisfying sound.
Happy to offer
today?
it. I don't have any hunger elements here. Just so we clarify, because I saw you shaking your head in that other session we had, where I was like, I said, hey, I'm going to eat. We had this thing with a bunch of people, and I demonstrated food to the group, and I said I might eat this during this meeting, and I generally was. But what happened was, in that one I would have, but I forgot. Like, even though the banana was right here, the whole I'm hungry to I'm going to eat pipeline is very weak. All right. So here
I can remind you.
Yeah, but what if I'm not like hungry at the moment you remind me? It's just
Are you hungry right now?
No, I'm not very hungry right now. Plus, I don't have any food near me either, apart from these vitamin C pills.
Okay.
I have a jug of water.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
I need to get your address so I can like send Uber Eats
While this is happening.
Session, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Challenge accepted. How are you feeling? And this is the thing. So let's actually focus on getting this looking like the page now that we have. I'm going to see what we can do about, just even for my own learning purposes, right? Like, this here's a thin line, and Mary might say, look, the details aren't. Oh, it's also because they're different elements from there. Sorry, that's because I'm like, hey, your instincts do kick in sometimes. You're like, I want it to look like what's on the screen.
Pixel perfect.
I want feelings perfect, right? I'm like, hey, my feelings aren't quite, like, it doesn't feel quite right. But I think what I do want to offer it is, there's a lot of real estate here, and I'm not sure, even in like this view, it feels weird to me, I'll say, for this to be such small real estate when there's so much space on the screen. Even in a mobile view, honestly, it feels much the same. So let's fit this to the screen. And my heart says, hey, give this more draggability. So we'll fix that. We'll bring this outside, even if it's not riding along, because that might be a bit harder to do with the components that we have here. Even if it's not riding along, we will at least have it somewhere in a fixed location that isn't in between these thumbs. And then once you let go, we'll still try and kind of maybe take you to the next screen. And then I know we had some back and forth about that, but we'll begin there. And then as we start using the app, we'll come back to see whether there's any changes that need to be made there. Okay. So it'll help me to go here and just review what they have, especially on this side. So yeah, I can simply give it a height, and that's good enough to adjust that. And then just for my own, I'll spend a few seconds just for my own personal understanding on whether we can thicken this line here, but I won't spend too much time, just a little bit. Okay, so now it's vertical. We have a class here, and we'll just get rid of that. Whoops. Really? Okay, yeah. That, and then let's see what that does to our, yeah, okay, great. Um, the thing I was thinking just now in that blank stare was, oh, instead of giving it a fixed height, can I can I make it so that it adjusts based on the remaining space? But I don't think that's worth necessarily doing at this stage. So I'm happy to actually just give it a fixed height, move on, and then kind of adjust later. Um, that's better. I'm gonna try maybe even just a little bit more. Um, 72. Is that even getting larger? Let's try something really tall. I honestly can't tell. Um, I think this is one of the things. Typically, when I'm working on my larger screen, I will have the code on one screen and this on the other, and I'll see that adjustment happen immediately. Where here, okay, it is working, but I think my scale is still off. Like I should be going up by 30s and 20s instead. I'm going up by like smaller amounts, and it's harder to see the difference. Um, how do, how do you feel about the spacing here, Mary? Are you like, hey, it should really be touching the edges, or do you feel like it should be more like in this, let's say, 86 range?
I honestly like the larger one.
Okay, so we're gonna go as much as we can here,
Like as
and
long as there's some space
yeah,
between the thing,
yeah, yeah.
whatever's above the
And
mirror.
this is why we call it feelings perfect and not pixel perfect, because if it was pixel perfect,
It would
then
be wrong.
I would have committed to this. And
That's true.
I wanna understand, like, it really is a feelings uh pixelization thing and not necessarily an on the screen pixelization thing. Because this, even at this stage, to me, and I'm actually curious how you feel about it. And I think sometimes it's important to communicate to the team because it's implicit. When I see a design from a designer, especially at work, I'm like, this is commitment to the design, right? That's the essence of what we've all been kind of trained historically, is when we see this, it means I have to get this as close as possible versus my instinct is still like, for whatever reason, I never like, even though my instinct is, oh, I want to make it as close, but definitely I've allowed historically my feelings to take over. What are your thoughts as a designer?
Yeah, I think it depends. It really depends on the team. Like some, like there have definitely been dev teams and I guess specific people, like developers that want exactly what they are
Mm,
going to implement, and sometimes I'm like, I can't give you that. you know, I'm like, I'm not gonna have that,
okay.
and like, especially like, I feel like as a designer, there's also like the pressure to have pixel perfect everything before you hand
Mm,
it to a developer because of a certain segment of developers want that.
right.
So there's sometimes it's like, oh man, like it's not perfect yet, you know. Um, so
Got
I
it.
think it depends on the person, honestly. Ideally, I like it's a good thing when a developer points something out that's like for example, recently there was a case where um, I noticed that like what was implemented was the top and bottom padding is different from the left and right padding, and I
Mm,
was like, while that is what we did put on Figma, that's not
yeah.
great. Like
Right. Right.
ideally developers should look at that and go, you know,
And
why is it like
this
that?
particular developer that you were working with in this particular case did not do that. You were saying, and you, you so I mean, he might be saying, hey, Mary, if you wanted it, you should put that in
Yeah,
the spec. You know.
yeah, and I think like I could have
Yeah.
I am capable of doing that.
Of equidistance
Yeah, but
measurements.
I think
Yes.
it's like you kind of meet in the middle, and like when
Okay.
that happens, it's like yeah, I own up to the fact that I didn't do what I should have
Yeah,
done, but I think it would also be nice if I would not be offended if someone's like, why
got
are
it.
the top and bottom and left and right not the same?
Have you had an explicit? I know. I'm just asking out of curiosity. No particular reason I'm asking this. But have you had an explicit alignment with the group of devs that you're working with on that understanding?
Um, I guess not explicitly.
Interesting. Curious. Highly recommended. I don't know why I'm giving you this, but highly recommended. I would say, just personally, just my
Yeah,
personal feelings.
yeah, I think yeah, it's a good suggestion.
Oh, why? Thank you. Huh. Okay, so let me just see what classes are applied here in this slider. What if in here I did something like with 20 to see what happens here. And that does absolutely nothing. What if I try? Oh, I already did with full. Ugh. Of course, it does nothing. I was like, maybe magically somehow it knows what I want. That's not how code works, folks. It is how components work sometimes because they're coded that way. All right, what I want is to take a look at this specific thing to see whether it can be modified, and I'll just literally spend a minute. So this is the div here, and inside this div are its components, like the actual handle, and this has the range, but and the range is probably between this and some other point. Now in this case, the point happens to be this, but my guess is the range is the green bit is the range. And if you had two of these, the range would be in between the handles. But since we only have one, the range is between the starting point and the handle. That makes great sense. And then I think, well, if it's this, and then I have a width of full, this width full is like, what is it doing here? It's doing nothing. It's just ignored, which quickly makes me think, what happens if I do this? Now we're talking. And then, because this width full here was doing nothing. It was there, and this is the problem with trusting code that you see. Let's make this 8, for example. And that's that. Let's make this 3. Let's make this 2. Let's make this 1. What are you feeling, Mary?
Looks good.
Which one? Which one? Is it the 1? Is it the 2? Or is it the 8? Is it the 8?
Can I not the 8? Not
Sorry,
the 8.
yeah. Is it the 4? Is it the 3?
I think
Is it the 2?
The 4 is pretty good.
Really? Here's the default, by the way. So here's the default.
Oh, okay.
And here's the 2. Here's the 4. 4 is super tight along the edges. I like 3 or 2, to be honest, because even 2 is nice. 1 seems very thin.
How does it look on like a smaller width?
Yeah. It would look something along these lines.
Okay. This is 2 or 3?
This is 2.
Okay. How does 3 look?
3 looks like this.
Okay. Yeah, I don't mind either of those.
Okay. I would prefer 2, to be honest, just so there's some distinction between but I guess on a larger screen it's clear, but that's fine. We'll play around with this. But here, just when I see it here, I do like some enough gap here so this sticks out, but not enough that it looks like it's just about to fall off. When it's so that thin, it just feels like it's not going to stick around. All right, excuse me. All right, so I guess what I did not think about was what the starting point of this is in our system. And so I just made it like times 10, and I feel like we had a range here, which is max 50. So that median would be 25. What is it? Median would be 25. And now that should sit right in the middle. Okay, let me see. So here's what I'm thinking very briefly is, this is default state. It's not technically okay. It's default. It's null. And then the moment you change this, it becomes okay, or it becomes something else. The moment you touch it, the value matters. So one, I have to get a sense of whether this has changed. And it can't be 25. I can't use the value I initially have, because if you come back here and let go and you're still perfect on 25, I can't use that as a value. So I need to see whether the API here emits any values. So there's value change, which gets me a number array, and update value model. So this is the default one, which changes the number. Callback to invoke when slide ends. We'll need this to trigger our next page. That's great. So I'm just gonna trigger on change. Actually, gonna bring that back. So here, let me break these down, and then say at change equals slider changed, slider touched. We could go with equals true, and then here we can define const slider touched is false. Now it's true. Now we know the value is real. And then we can say at slide dend, function submit mood level, we'll call it. And this, I want to be very descriptive in these functions, because it's complicated. We'll have a different one. So it's not just submitting, which is complicated as a mood, but this is a mood level, and it's complicated as its own category of mood. So, which is why I'm being more specific here. So let's go ahead and function submit mood level. Let's actually, I'm just going to accept what AI is giving me here and just see. No, it's actually very useless. Everything here is useless. Okay, so I should have read it. I should have read it when it was like this, to be like, hey, is this relevant? Do that 100 times, and then see if you're still a 10x developer. All right. So what I want in this case, when I'm submitting the mood level, is I want to store the mood in the database. We'll call it that. And maybe this is now the time for me, very soon, not just yet. I will connect the interaction here. So I will leave this as a to-do, but very soon I'll need to look at the documentation on browser storage and familiarize myself with it. Maybe look for libraries that we can use and things like that. All right. So we have the submit mood level, and then it should, take me to the next screen where mood is used. So storage, next screen action will happen here. When you let go, I can begin to test it actually very quickly. I can say navigate to, and then I can say mood / not journal, but feelings. I can also begin to have some kind of a storage that isn't permanent as a starting point, and very simply, it just can be shared like a global state. So I can just say something like const Mary, what would you name this whole data set that we're collecting here? If it was one row in a table, what would you call it?
The feelings ones?
Just this, like, so when you select the mood, you're selecting a mood for this thing, you're adding feelings for this thing. So this object contains your mood level, it contains your feeling selection, it contains your, let's say if this was a row in a table that stored your mood level, that stored the number of feelings that you had, that stored the text that you had here, and that stored your themes, what would you call that table?
I have not thought that far.
We're here now. We're here now. Like one, like this dot here. What this dot represents a.
I guess snapshot. Like a mood snapshot.
Got it. Mood snapshot sounds good to me. So that's what we'll call this here. We'll call it current mood snapshot. So it's the current one, but it's not saved. It's just in memory. But at the very least, what this will allow me to do is to collect that data in an object. And then potentially as this object changes, I can store it to the browser storage, for example. Or when it's finally submitted, I can store it at that point. So I don't necessarily have to store it immediately. Although that might also be the case where I do store it immediately as in work in progress. Because let's say you were here, you refresh the page, you don't want to lose your progress here. And then let's say you close your phone, you still want to maybe come back and be where you were in a sense. So this, as it's changing, will be stored as the current mood snapshot, but also when it's saved, will then enter like a collection of snapshots. So that's good. That's good to know. So we'll call this a reactive thing, and then it will have a mood level. Sure, I'll start off at 0. And then I don't want to necessarily put too much here, but I want to say mood page as well. And this will just indicate kind of what where you were. So if you do close your browser, if you come back, I still want you to land you on the screen you were looking at if you were in progress, right? So mood page, you started, how are you? And then you move to feelings or whatever. So which means here I can now begin to, oops, what did I do? Yeah, so here I can begin to say something like current, no, I need to export this. Current mood snapshot dot mood level is this, a mood level dot value. And then I get moved to the moods feelings page. And then maybe on that page, I will register this change here versus registering it here. And then, okay, so I'm here. I go like this, I let go, and now I'm on this page. Kind of abrupt. Maybe we can think about something at some point. But for now, that's fine. And then let's make this back button work on this next page. So it feels fluid as we're looking at it. So the next page is feelings. And I want that back button. And very briefly there, I was thinking how I should adjust it, because if I'm here and then I let go, when I click back, I actually want to land up on this page, but the browser back, I'm like, should I connect to the browser back? But the issue with connecting to browser back is if I refresh there, well, in this case, that's fine. But if I say I come at this, why does this still have a back? It's this, right? So I don't want this, like this back should not be browser back. It should actually lead to the page. So it should be hard-coded. It was just me considering, hey, do I want to lean on what the browser gives us, or do I want to consider hard coding it? These days, all the kids hard-coded all the time. And then once I'm here, which means on the previous page also I should register. And then when I go back, I need this mood to be what I had selected. Okay, great. And then I should also register here in the current mood snapshot dot mood page. It should say, how are you? And then very quickly, let me just add that to the feelings as well. Just when I land on this. I was briefly trying to think whether this is the right place to do it. The other thing I might do here is start to define things a little bit more specifically in this snapshot. Let me just come at it here. And then we can say type mood. Let's actually call it current mood snapshot. Let's commit. And here, number, I'm going to say null. Okay, I'm going to start it off as null. And so null specific, and that's why I wanted this kind of a thing. And then this can become current mood snapshot. And now, I can also export this, that's fine. And then this becomes, like null has some meaning here. And then here I can say, here I think I can say something like current mood snapshot or 25. And my gut will say now, if I bring this up here, I let go. If I come back, it really thought it would be up there. Really was expecting it. If I come down here and I go back, it's even lower. So the number, I think, is because I'm storing this and not value. That's fine. Simply need to multiply this by 10. Because point of note, I'm actually storing mood level, the point thing, and not this thing. Just trying to quickly assess that. That's fine, yeah. So I want to say if mood level equals null. So like, let's commit to it. If it's null, then let's do the default. Otherwise, set it to that times 10. And now this should give us what we expect, which is if I'm up here, if I go back, it should be up here. Now it should be where I left it. And that feels good. And so that's fairly happy with that. And then we'll set this and we'll restyle this to have the right setting as we move to the next page. My mouse is acting up. Okay, and then let's see now, at least on this page, I'm just thinking, hey, how do can I marry these two together? And I should be able to. I don't know off the top of my head. I typically don't deal with moving animation things in HTML a lot. So I have an inkling of an idea. I'll pursue it. If it doesn't work, I will try and do this later. So so one thing I can do is try and look at, so I can make this relative to everything else, and then change its top and bottom based on where this handle is. So one thing I want to look at is to see if the component itself has any sense of where that handle is. And that does not seem to be the case. Slider end event, that's not what I want. When it changes a number, maybe I can use that number to determine the height. That's fine. The other thing I could probably do is try and get the height from the handle itself, like try and get the position of this element. And this element is P slider handle. View use. Typically, there's a bunch of view use functions that if I attach to an element, they might give me the element position, because they do it for the window size, they do it for all these things. The problem with use draggable is are these draggable? Yeah. The problem with I already have dragging functionality from the existing element. So I just want to attach to an element, use element bounding, resize the box to see the changes. Is this? Use element bounding. So uses the template ref. This might be what I want, because it has bottom left, top width, and all that. So something like this. Bounding box. Element size. Let me just quickly take a look at these other things so that if they seem relevant, they don't. And this is the element section. And I'm just scanning through. I'm not necessarily seeing something that sticks out to say, hey, this will probably do what I want, or is more suited. Like what if there's a better version? We'll just take a look very quickly, but we won't spend too much time because we might have something that does work. Sensors. Nope. This is enough. Okay. The only thing I need to do is, because I don't have the ref of this specific element, so I can't do something like this. I can't put the ref in there. Why did I do that? Okay, I can't put the ref in there because I'm using a slider and I don't have a ref. So I'm not entirely sure how views own this element. Let's see. Let's not think about it too much, and let's just get a sense of what's happening. I will need to add view use core to my app. Okay, we're back here. And now what I want to do is something like this. I might even just say slider handle bounding equals this. And then perhaps I can go into my template here and just for demo purposes have slider handle bounding. Now, noting that, well, I don't know if this will destructure itself. Noting that this might not be correct. So I want to get this from document. Oops. Something like this, but let's get it from, okay, wasn't expecting this. How are you? Line 17 at setup. Line 17. What's line 17? It's not really line 17. It doesn't like something here. Let's see. Cannot find, maybe it's that, but I thought I installed it here and I restarted my server. And it doesn't seem happy with, well, that's not true, but this is true. So let's see if we can't just get rid of this for now. Actually, I should have just commented that out. And that works. Let's just do this first, and then we'll figure out what's happening there. So this element is P slider handle, and it is a class. To confirm, is there an ID or some other? Nope, that's fine. We'll use this. The thing with this is this element is not going to be on the page when this executes. So we're going to have to do something like this. And we'll see. This is all question marks. And where I'm hesitating is like, because I have to explain it. And if I was just doing it, I'd do it quicker and then not have to explain it. But what I'm thinking here is this guy should just become a ref like this. Good. And then I will say on mounted, I will set the value of this EL to this. So once everything gets mounted, there's no guarantee that will probably properly happen, but at least we'll try and do that. And here we can actually test that out as well by putting that in our element to see whether something emerges here. Nothing has. We can also console.log it. And if this doesn't work, I guess I'll be slightly sad. It's null. I'm going to try one more thing. The thing I'm going to try is, because I'm doing on mounted, and just because this is mounted doesn't mean all the elements in this component library that we're using are also mounted or also present. So when we do this, also no. Wait just a minute. It's P slider handle, not slider handle. How did I get to slider handle? So let's test this first before we go into any other threes. That did work. Okay, good. Okay, so just complaining about this. Oops. Something weird is happening because with just maybe because anyway, my keyboard. I thought I put in. So that element now is appearing because there was otherwise an issue here with this, and then this broke and what have you. So okay, fine. So now we have this element. Step 1. Step 2. We want to bind this here, but view core use is having issues. So now we're back to the problem we had before. So let's actually, what am I doing with my keyboard? Package.json. I'm typing incorrectly, I think. I don't think it's a keyboard problem. I think it's a person problem. There might be a better way to install Vue use, especially in Nuxt. So Vue use Nuxt. And probably the way I did it is not the best way to do it. So let's do it the recommended way. Done that. Let's bring Nuxt in here. Okay, great. Very nice. Let's npm dev this. In the meanwhile, let's look at this caveat. The following utils are disabled. Auto import. Okay, great. You can always use them by explicitly importing. Fantastic. Use head. Oh, probably because they conflict with Nux's built-in functions. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Come back, get rid of this. And now this should. No. Why? What if I quit my, what if it's my editor issue? Come back in here. Yes. Yes, we're looking good. And quickly taking a look at this import, it takes a target, maybe computed element ref. Perfect. And I think the maybe means, hey, it might be null. Or it might, yeah, maybe element is something that's null, undefined, a view instance, an SVG element, or an HTML element. Perfect. Because we weren't using Vue's default element grabbing thing, and then we're kind of building our own here because it just wasn't available to us immediately. The other thing I was going to try, if I didn't catch this, like the P dash, if I didn't catch that, the other thing I was going to try was adding a ref here and using Vue's things and hoping that the component provides us the internals through its own ref. But there was no guarantee of that. There's no, I haven't seen any docs that say that, but it's what I probably would have tried next. Great. Now let's bring in our this thing here. Whoops. And see if it blends. Great. So we're seeing something. Oh, this is nice. And now if I move this up and down, right, look at that. We're seeing now the X and Y, the bottom and everything is changing. So now what I want to see is if I can make this element, stick here, and based on the values that are present here. So I want to make this relative. So let's try and do that. That's here. I actually don't, where do I want to place it? I actually can place it up here, I think. And we'll change this pre to a div or whatever else. And then I want, what do I want? Class. I want to make this relative. And then I want to make this absolute, if I remember my 90s CSS properly. And this should, yeah, totally make this sort of unbreathable. Let's get rid of this. This is not helping anyone. And then as I move this, I want to change the X or Y value. For a second, as I'm doing this, I'm going to disconnect. I'm going to disconnect this guy. Okay, so as I'm doing this, I want to, I'm not sure what to use here, right? Because XY might be relative to the whole screen, not sure. So Y value right now is this, and then top value is also the same. Bottom value is not the same. So top and this. So I don't know what it's in relation to, but that's fine. That's fine. We can come back here and just experiment. So I'll just bring this down here. We'll say style. So we'll go and then we'll say so bottom is changing. So I might just go bottom. Oh, I need to go style. And then say bottom, and then do this. And that goes away, that goes away. that goes like this. And then I could try y. There's no... I mean, that would have been amazing if it started moving. But let's see what's happening here on this element here. Yo, it doesn't even have, at this stage, it doesn't even have a value. Maybe this px is ruining it, so we'll see in a second. And then does it have a value as I drag? No. No, it does not even care. Did AI ruin our lives again? Let's see. Well, what if we do this? Oh, no, it has to. It's like, yo, bro, I'm expecting what? What is it expecting? I guess it is expecting that. I might have to look at the docs in a second. I think the other thing I can do, just for clarity, which I'll do in a second. Okay, now we're seeing something. That's progress. It just says object. This is an object? .y is an object? The thing that I was going to do was to actually just put it in here as well. So I'm going to put y in here. I'm going to put y in here. Let's start slowly and simply. Now, I'm not expecting all these errors to pop up here when I do that. Not sure why that would happen, because it's functioning fine. So the number is changing. That number is a number. But when I put px in there, it just disappears. I'm gonna have to take a look at the docs. Because even this absolute is kind of weird. I would have expected this absolute to make it appear somewhere else. But either way, it doesn't matter because it's not on the thing here. So what if I made this a div? First of all, let's respect. The div thing shouldn't matter, but I was just like grasping for straws. Object, totally nice. See, like this value is the same as this value. So I'm not expecting, I am expecting this to change. It's bound. What if I did ignore TypeScript and just did this anyway? Does the value? No. What am I not seeing here? Bottom. PX. Why does this resolve to, like, what else is, can I do a dot something else? Value? Okay, fine. I mean, that would make sense, right? Because if the fact is it is an object. So I'm surprised at that because, oh, it is, yeah, because, okay, but then I would expect this to have done the exact same thing here because we're in the template. I think that was my confusion. Works perfect. Let's ship it. Look at that. Just like you intended, Mary. Just like you had. It's pixel really perfect.
It's better than I could imagine.
Okay. All right. I will end up making this a span. And then I will take this to the bottom just so the values match. So we're going to have to do some mathematics. Not sure why. That's fine. Because the maths are going to have to be around. I mean, this is just stupid, but what happens if I just make this negative? It's not going to work. I know. before all these people start yelling at me, you know? I'm just curious where it would land. It's down there. Because this absolute I thought would be within this, because I put relative here and absolute. So my expectation was that margin left 8, let's say. Yeah, I would have to get rid of this first. That made no difference. Let's say 18. Make sure that it's there. Yep. That also, no, that did make a difference. No, that did not make a difference. Hard to tell, actually, because I should get rid of this. And now if I try third, I always try two small numbers. So let's go 40. Let's go. Yeah, so it is working. 30 now. And it's a bit weird because it should always be along this line, but it changes based on the element. It just means that, yeah, so the margin is actually from all the way here. And then when the thing in it changes, like it becomes amazing, note that the amazing is closer than the great. And why is that? Because I would have assumed that margin would remain the same. What if I made it padding? Nope. It's because this element, but this is just because this element is changing. I find that somewhat confusing. I'm, again, not going to worry about that too much. I would like to know. But I don't know. I feel like if I figure out the height alignment, I feel like that'll be a bigger win at this point. So what I need now is 1. Let's take a look at these values here. I'm using bottom. Because this height, width. So what if I said, what if I did, so this is, instead of EL, I'm going to call this slider handle ref. And then I'm going to create another one, which is slider ref. Slider bounding. And then here, is it P slider? Who knows? Let's see. Yeah, it is P slider. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to see what the values of these objects are together. So we'll just output them together here. And right, so as I scroll, these values change. I'm not sure what this is relative to, which bothers me quite a bit because it's scrolling with the page. It shouldn't, right? It should be fixed to where it is. So Y is changing there, but bottom is also changing. And then, because I got Y, that's changing. I got bottom, that's changing. And I got top, that's changing. So when I scroll, all of those are changing because they're not relative to something else. They're relative to, it seems, the page. So that means if I, excuse me, if I come in here and if I don't make this relative, if I make this purely absolute, what happens? I mean, is this absolute to the page? I mean, clearly not, right? Because otherwise these values would be the same. So let's try. What if I use top? It started off promising, right? It looked like they were like purely aligned. And now at least they're moving in the same direction. What happens if I bring relative back? This is me just playing around without knowledge. This is me just like guessing about. So relative does seem to be better because no, it does not. Because even the scrolling is modifying it. Okay. So I'm going to try one more thing. And the thing I'm going to try here is just doing some mathematics in order to get this this height proper. So we'll do here. We'll do a const mood label top is equal to computed value. Okay, not quite. Top dot value. And then I want, it's, you know, okay, so if I bring this all the way to the top, my top here is 435, and my top here is 445. And then my top there remains 445. As I move this down, my top increases. So my assumption is that this diff here is what the top for this thing should be. So it should be this value. And slider bounding top value. And now offset, sure. And then this can be offset, and this can be mood label top straight up. And now we're seeing this, which is still fixed. When I scroll, it's also fixed, so that's good. Now I just have to just get the adjustment correct. So it's whatever it's whatever this diff is needs to be adjusted for, and then they'll hang out together. And how are we doing for time? That's fine. Okay, so what are we doing? What are we doing? The distance here. I'm just trying to get a sense of whether there's a better way of getting precision, or whether I can kind of guesstimate my way. And so we're going to guesstimate here because there's this initial.
What does PL36 mean? I just don't. I just
Like in life, like a medicine term? Is it a genetics thing?
no, like in your code.
Where is PL36? Oh, sorry, yeah. Sorry. This is from a long time ago. Got it. PL36 means padding left 36, and on a scale of 36, that's multiplied by 4, so it's 144 pixels. Padding left 144 pixels. Sorry, I'm bouncing around all over the place, and so the context is not with me. Where was your guess maybe that this is interfering with the difference? It aligns it this way and not up and down. To that point, though, if we wanted to, we could add a padding to the top of, let's just say 36. We'll see what adjustment it makes, which is the kind of thing that we'd want to do in order to add that kind of distancing. Or we could have modified it here by adding whatever distancing here. But maybe this is fine for now. And I did want to just guesstimate my way there, right? Like we're almost there. I don't love that it's centered, but I think we can figure that out later. It does look a little weird to me. What if I also increase this a little? Just to distance itself. That looks better. It looks, well, I think you can decide once you get it in your hands. It looks a little weird as I move slow, but nobody moves that slow. You're kind of like this, and I think that looks fine. When I go like this, I'm like, I don't like the jumps, but like, who does that? That's not usage. This is usage. I'm like, I'm feeling. You might go like, I'm feeling this, and that's fine. But I don't think maybe all people will do is just come in and play with this. This is the whole app now. This is just the. I wouldn't be. I feel like it.
I mean, everything else is skippable, right?
I feel like, you know what I feel like? It should just be all sliders here. This should be like at least 16 sliders, and you're just messing with the sliders. And then you're like, hey, this app makes me feel great. Because all I do is just fiddle with the sliders and it makes me feel good. Because I'm feeling great, actually. I don't think you understand here. Like, this is totally changed. I was tired when we started. I was like, but now that this, like, look at this and this, they move together. There's a great friendship happening here.
Wait until like you can like add color to the slider.
Like over here, you mean? Oh my God. I feel like we're done the app. I'm ready to ship it. Honestly, once the color is there, Mary. I think we did the whole. I think we've messed up with. Look at all these screens you put together. For what? I'm just saying. You don't get it, man. You don't get it because you don't have access to this page.
Yeah, I do not.
Once you get your hand on this, you're just gonna be like, this is not a mood recording app. This is a mood changing app. Okay.
I'll see it when I can touch it.
That's fair. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm happy with this kind of hacky way of doing this, and this is for certain a hacky way, but I do want to test it now in this mobile space to see. So it will be different, right? We'll need to figure. There's still some figuring out we need to do because it's not precise, and so maybe there is some figuring out to do here. That's fine. I'm at least okay to leave that for a little bit later. And I can bring this in now. And maybe all I'll do for now is tie this mood level to the next screen so that your mood.
So we are going to use the next screen?
For now, yeah. For now. You don't like it. You're like,
No, I'm
It
just
doesn't.
kidding.
Oh, okay, okay.
how does
Yeah.
the how does the so like your goal is to like have it reflected from one screen to the next.
Yeah, so when I go like this and I let it go, this
Yeah,
should now be at
I see.
shitty
Yeah,
level. Um, and I think that's where I'm happy to wrap up for today.
yeah.
Um, and then the next time we reconvene at we keep saying random time, but it's been very scheduled. Um, but a random time as we convene, uh, then I'm kind of like working on. I don't know if you have adjusted our Notion.
I have added some more thoughts, not in the table itself because I was like, this is too much.
Mhm.
But if you go to the Notion
Oh,
page for Cocoon, like if you go back a level, yeah, um, yeah, under the review and think through logic, I started just throwing some stuff in there.
which feelings are shown recommended based on the valence and intensity? For example, I'm feeling shitty, mood level 0, high intensity, unpleasant valence. But how would I know this to be true? This connection.
So, like, if a user uh, has mood level equals to 0, then show the feelings that have uh, a valence of unpleasant and intensity of high. Like, if you look at the table.
This table here. Um, but I guess from my perspective, what I'm particularly looking for is the precision of like um, every mood level mapped to intensity and valence, right? So like, what happens when it's 1.3? What happens when it's 2.2? What happens because we're on a scale of 0 to 5 now, and so this is not enough information for me to pick out the right feelings according to the mood level. So I feel like that's work for you to do in that sense, because then, um, well, given this, I'm actually curious because you put it together. Given this, how would I know what 1.2 is?
I guess instead of a mood level, it's more like a range that we're thinking about.
And but then how is it represented here? Because I only have one number based on this adjustment. The user's only given us one piece of feedback, which is their single number, 1 point x, or like x point y base, right? So it could be anywhere from 0 point something to 5. And from that, we need to derive this range here, and figure out what kind of things to pick, which then we go here. And from your definition here, there's an intensity and valence. So intensity is either high, medium, or low. That's fine. And then valence is either pleasant or unpleasant. That's also fine.
Yeah. Okay. So I feel like I'm not sure if I'm understanding.
Mhm.
Because what I've mapped here is that like there's a table of feelings, and each feeling has like a valence property
Mhm.
and an intensity property.
Mhm.
And we can ignore basic emotions for now, I guess. And how I'm thinking about it is if, like, basically, if mood level equals to 0 to 1, anything between 0 to 1, um, then show the user any feeling that has valence property of unpleasant and intensity property of yes, 3 or high.
Okay.
Is that making sense so far?
Sure, but I don't know what 1 to 2 is. Like
Oh,
this is
okay,
not,
I see.
you know what I mean? Like I need the whole range in order to be
I
like,
see.
in order to like actually do the full translation, because I'm like,
Okay,
okay, I have that. Now our app only works for
okay.
0 to 1, right?
Okay, I can do that.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. This will, when because it in some other sessions we're in with other folks, I'll be hopping on like precision, exactness. And this is one of those cases where it's like, I'm happy to make it up, but I'm just a follower. I'm just a,
I'm just
I'm
here
just,
being like, here's an example.
yeah, I'm just an executor and I need the whole range to move forward. Otherwise, I'm like,
Okay.
okay, this example. So what I'm looking for is, hey, with the entire range that's available to us, 0 to 5, um, and in between, how do I translate a mood level to an intensity level and an unpleasant, an
Yeah.
availance level, right? So
Okay.
how does each number translate to, and then when I have that, then I'm able, that's enough data for me to pick, then I go, oh, if you're medium, this will show up if intensity is either high or medium, and you're pleasant,
Yeah.
right? So then I have enough data to pull the correct
Okay.
feelings.
Is there like a like given this in front of you?
Mhm.
Is there like a format that I don't know is helpful, or just I can just brain dump however I brain dump?
Uh, I feel like you can brain dump, however, that's fine, as long as it meets the criteria of I should be able to
Okay.
look at it and know based on the mood level, based on any given mood level, what the intensity and the valence is.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Cool.
And is there something I could have said to clarify my need for that for you sooner?
Um. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we're just figuring it out together.
Okay. Got it.
Like,
Okay. Cool.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, you could have said
Yeah.
like, this is just like one example, like a snapshot in a whole range
Got
that
it.
I have
Okay.
not fleshed
Okay.
out. But like,
Got it. Okay, got it. So this was your starting point for this. I know, I understand that. I understand that. For me, as a developer who's not generating the requirements, right? Like I think I'm in a different mindset when I'm generating, like part of generating the requirements. Here, I'm, like I'm part of suggesting certain things, but I'm also in more of um, on more of a mindset of like, hey, what are, like what's Mary's essence
yeah,
for where she wants to take it, and then I'm first in like what is that, the answer to that, where you want to take it mode versus like trying to direct myself mode um, here.
cool. Yeah, I can.
And that's when I saw this, I was like, where's the rest? Where's the, how do I convert, how do I get
Okay.
all of the feelings? I don't, when you ask me how I'm doing, I don't have feelings, and you give me this, now I have even fewer feelings. So all right.
How are you
Okay.
feeling?
I feel, I feel great actually, because look at
Because of
this.
the
Hold on.
slider,
Yeah, look at this. I don't think people understand the power. Like,
the power of sliders.
not just that, just the joy of just the most insignificant thing,
Hmm.
right? Where it's just like, I feel like if I show this to people, they're gonna be like, okay, yeah, it's moving up and down with the thing. Like, okay, what? Like, they won't even notice anything. They'll just be like, okay, fine. But to
Hmm.
me, this is just,
I'm
I don't
very
know.
curious about like how it feels like using your mouse versus like using touch.
Okay. Yeah. Um, I will see what I can do in order to get even just this little bit here onto some internet. Um, I won't be like, and that's not something that needs to be stremped, and so that's fine. Um, what I will do just for now, one thing I don't like, Mary, this is just my silly connection thing, is um and this is just how the default thing happened to work, right? So it's just how this component works. Is let's say I'm here, the color green is between the thumbs down and the handle, right?
Mm.
When I let go, just based on, when I let go, based on where we placed it, the color green is between the thumbs up and the handle. And my heart wants it to be the other way. But that's fine. I think, you know what? No, yeah, then I won't get into it now, because if I get into it now,
Wait.
what? Do you want to get into it now?
Wait, in the mock-ups,
What is
the
it in the
thumbs
mock-ups?
down is on the left side.
Okay, great. Then that's just that's a me problem. That's a that's a me
I think
problem.
it's a component, like the component.
It's a
For
component.
some
Yeah,
reason,
I just shifted the component, but that's fine. So maybe I will quickly get into it now, because I was like, ugh, okay. Feelings. No thumb. Oh, because it was, well, for one, we're just gonna take that and replace. Okay, and then how's about I take this, and now this value also, I want it to be like this. And here the value should exist. There's no reason why you should be on this page and the value shouldn't be there. I will still leave this code here because our code here doesn't know that. But it also means that if it is the case that it's null for whatever reason, then I actually don't even want to handle that case, because then now we have to inform the user to say, hey, you haven't selected the mood. We're gonna have to take you off this page, that kind of stuff. So okay, now if I go amazing, this is at amazing level, fantastic. And when I go sadness, this is a shitty level over here. Obviously the distance is, and so we can change the styling here. The next time we're in this range, we'll change the styling to match the other one. We might change the spacing here. Maybe it shouldn't be all the way full. Also, this will look like this. So that feeling will change. Where, let's go 100 here. Let's pull this all the way down so we can actually see what this feels like. When I'm here, I let go. It's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah, I think if we just change the thickness, then they'll look more related. Maybe if the thumbs up, thumbs down size changes, they'll look a bit more related. It's quite large here, but maybe it's supposed to be. It's fine. I think just the thickness here will do it, and then these changing will take the attention, because this will be up here. These will be centralized, so the attention will actually be on this as much as I'm putting on here. Just looking at it's because it's in my eye line. Okay, I think that's where I'm happy to end it. The connection has been made. Even when we, okay, so when we go back, that was interesting. I thought, oh yeah, even when we go back, it does match. No, does it? I'm on thumbs up here. If I go back, I'm not on thumbs up. So that's something I will want to fix. Because this number should be entirely related. I'm trying to think why that wasn't the case, but that's fine. I'll convene with that the next time we are here. Cool.
Why do you like the slider?
Because it's play. It's play without reason. And
so we should make a slider app, just like all kinds of different sliders.
I think what we could do is make a fidgeting app with all kinds of sliders, all kinds of balls, all kinds of like toggles.
That's
all kinds
actually
of
on my idea, like Notion.
Really? Just like a fidgeting app where you're just
somewhat. The idea that I had was it's gonna sound so stupid, but the idea that I had was, do you know the subreddit Oddly Satisfying?
No, I don't.
Okay, so it's a subreddit where people post like videos of like just oddly satisfying motion. Usually it's motion. Like it could be like toothpaste being squeezed.
Yeah, I see now. Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that. And one thing that I was thinking of, like, enlisting my partner's help with is like building a game where that's all you do. It's just oddly satisfying the game. Like you
I
pop
see.
bubbles, you
Got it.
pop
Yeah.
you pop other things.
Yeah. No. Okay. Question mark. Question mark. But yeah, I think I might have told you about this before. Back in the Flash days, my brother used to do a lot of sort of design and Flash type things, web design as well, actually. Uh, and now he's a professor of political science. Um, and um, and one of the things he made was this thing called useless boxes. So it was these 3D boxes just in like maybe three in a row stacked on top of each other. And when you would hover over any one of them, they would increase in size. And when you hovered off them, they would slowly decrease. So if you just moved your mouse around, you would see this sort of this like wave of increasing boxes in 3D. And then and it was just useless boxes. And it was such a delight to use.
That's cool.
Um,
Where is it? Does it still exist somewhere?
I don't know if it exists anywhere. I would have to dig into. I don't even know where. Honestly, we're talking, we're talking way back. We're talking 2004 NES. We're talking 2002 ish, 2003, 2004, 2005 ish. So we're talking 20 years ago.
Somewhere in the archives, maybe.
Yeah, like it'd have to be on it'd have to be backed up somewhere and then put on a hard drive, moved from this hard drive to that hard drive, moved onto a USB key, that kind of thing. But I don't. It might not even exist. But we'll see. I might look for it.
Cool. Yeah. Wait, how did we get here? Oh, yeah, the
Why
sliders.
are the sliders so much fun? It's because
Yeah.
I don't know.
Speaking of sliders, this is my favorite fidget toy. It's a
Okay.
slider. It's a
How
slider
does
and a spinner in one.
how does it? To me, it's not because your fingers are like half covering the toy itself. It's hard for me to understand
It's
how
like
it slides.
so. There's two pieces.
Yeah.
They are, I guess, attached to each
Oh.
other with magnets. Now I have to put it back together. I'm struggling to do that, yeah. And so you can like just slide them back and forth.
Got it.
You can like rotate them in any direction. And then you
Got
can
it. Oh, this is a
also
great toy. Yeah.
you can also spin them.
Oh, this is yeah, and then the magnets kind of also kind of get in the way of the spin. That's interesting.
Yeah, like I've played with it so much that it's like starting to break.
I don't. The one fidget toy that I did happen to buy, I don't even know where it is. So I'm gonna try and find it for the
You
next
have to do
time.
the show and tell next time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to, and I'll look for it, and I will. It's just so simple. It has like just three magnets, and it's like click, 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 click. That's all it does. But it's very, the aesthetics are very nice as well. So,
and then of course.
all right. Yeah, I you know what? I think there's something to be said for that. Like I said, there's like a mood journaling app and there's a mood modifying app. Using the fidgets can change your mood. Legit. Maybe they should be part of the same app. The same.
Yeah, maybe.
It's just part of Cocoon, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a hidden part.
Angry. You're feeling angry. How about do this?
Yeah, because this is just one tool. So I'm not pointing to my screen, but I'm not on screen. This is what we're building is just one mood tool within a suite of tools, potentially. So why can't the suite contain like just a LOL tab, and then maybe it's even secret. If you tap this twice and you spin on the thing, then it opens up and now it's just sliders and widgets and toggle buttons and color changes.
Sounds like fun.
Somebody should design it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you, folks, for joining us on this session of Product Like Us Friday. And you'll see us, if history is any indicator, you'll see us next Friday. But if the history before that is any indicator, you might see us sooner. So let's see.
We'll see,
Nobody
yeah.
knows. That's the mystery we contain. I will say one odd thing. I know I was leading out. I will say I just happened to notice this. I haven't been looking, just so you know. But I was like, hey, our follower count hasn't gone up in a long time. And so I was like, wow, that's slacking. You know, like, man, just because the whole metrics thing, I'm like, huh, you know, because I was riding that wave. I really was. It was such a great high to be like, oh, we got one follower in the last whatever. How nice. That one person.
Thank you.
What is your name? You know?
Yeah.
um, not that that's a driver. It's just a lagging indicator, I suppose. So there it is. But we'll see you at a next random time in the future. Thanks for joining. Good night, and let's go home.